Hello and welcome to Tea Time. It's Saturday morning, and I am thrilled to be here for another epic conversation. Of course, over a cup of tea, I'm still literally in the process of making my tea, so that's what's happening back there. I'm still steeping, so time was going, so I didn't want to wait too long before I jumped on. So I'm going to be grabbing my tea at some point in our conversation today. So, good morning. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Have we had a tea time since? No, this is our first tea time since the new year. So, Happy New Year. Good morning. Welcome to the first Saturday, I think, in the new year. um, really excited to be here. It's been a very interesting week already. Was kind of going back and forth with what we were going to talk about this morning. And pretty early on, it came clear to me that I know based on my week, I know what we need to talk about today. So grab your cup of coffee, your hot chocolate, your tea, whatever it is that gets you going in the morning. I definitely want you to have your cup of joy as we head into our conversation today. So, what I wanted us to get into this morning was really focusing on moving beyond just setting the intentions. And the reason why we now need to start kind of doubling down on, well, what do I do now that I have these intentions and goals is because the moment that you decide you want something greater for your life, for yourself, the moment you decide that you're going to step into the next best, baddest, person that you can become, that is also maybe in another 30 seconds or so afterwards, the moment that the self-doubt and the negative self-talk and all the different obstacles or possible challenges that you could potentially face, all of those things start coming up in your mind. So many of you may have been using this week to double down on your intention setting and on your goal setting. And if you were a part of my masterclass on Tuesday, which was Intention Day, then you probably have it done in a very structured way. For those of you that may not have joined Intention Day or are joining my tea time for the first time, I am obsessed with the power of intention. And really, intention is understanding the why behind the desires of your life and then being deliberate about writing those things down and focusing your mind in that direction so that you can achieve the desires of your heart. So this is what we do on tea time. Tea time is our moment to sit back, have a cup of warm joy, and talk through some of the challenges that you may be experiencing as you're on your intention journey. So on Tuesday, what we did was we actually spent time going through our Year of Intention workbook. It's still available. You can check for the link in my bio, or depending on where you're watching this, if you're on YouTube, then the link is going to be in the show description. But you can definitely still get access to the workbook, right? If you've gone through the process, then what you are probably now facing are all these desires that you've probably had for a while and maybe some new ones. Because for 2024, you decided, okay, I'm going to resurrect some of the goals that I had because I know I can do it now, right? Hi, Kish. Hi, Shawnee. Morning. Happy New Year, guys. Happy New Year. So, what happened to me this week, of course, right, is I'm going through the process of doing my goal setting and dreaming up all the things. And I start to see the thoughts creeping in. These are the ones that say, Stacey, you've been trying this thing for how many years now? It's not going to happen, right? Or suppose this something over here. And then I notice myself start to feel like, why do I bother to go through this all the time? I start to feel the impact of that. It's almost like my thoughts have put me in this shift mode, and I can literally sometimes observe my emotional experience shifting. And I know that that happens for you as well. What I want to talk about this morning are the three things that you absolutely have to do to ensure the best chance of achieving the dreams and the goals that you've set for yourself. And there are three basic things. You don't even need to buy nothing for it or use any tools for it. But if you're doing these three things, then on a consistent basis and getting into the habit of doing the consistent things, then that is going to get you closer to actually achieving the desire that you want, right? For yourself. Habits is something that we'll have to touch on, but maybe next week, because we can't talk about so much things in our 30 minutes. Right? So we're going to talk about the three things that you need to do. First and foremost, you need to be able to recognize your emotions. You need to recognize the feelings that you are experiencing. And one of the reasons why the feeling space is so important is because the secret to the secret is feelings. You guys remember The Secret, where they had this book and then there was a movie where everybody was talking about law of attraction and talking about, the different things that all these now celebrity persons and some non-celebrities have done to achieve the dream of their life, the dream desire of their life. Okay, well, the main premise behind The Secret is that a lot of persons, they set these goals and they are going hard, but they don't feel good. They don't believe that they can actually achieve it. So they're doing a lot of the actions, but a lot of roadblocks. They're encountering a bunch of roadblocks. And they can't figure out why it is that every year them set this goal. Every year, the goal set, the intention set, the manifestation set, whatever, the laws of all the laws, they set it and they have the word and they have the song. And then they're going strong 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. They hit January, they hit February. And then it's like the dream just popped down. And it's because you're not looking at how you are feeling about going after this thing. So knowing your feelings is step one. And it helps you to really recognize the emotional intelligence part of things. Because if you're not figuring out your emotions, then you're literally like a train being pulled in the opposite direction by two different engines. Let me explain. Let's say you have a financial goal, and I'm choosing finance. I know I talk about money a lot, but I know it because it's one of the areas that I have had to work at really hard to break through some of the barriers. And it's also the number one area that people usually set goals around. Okay, so let's say you have this desire to earn more, create more, make more money, right? And as you set your goal, you set your intention, you feel like, yes, I'm going to make it. This year is my year. You find yourself looking up all these different courses, and maybe you realized, oh, I was setting targets, but my behavior wasn't keeping up with the targets. So you said, this year, I'm going to fix my behavior. What starts to happen now is you're putting new habits and behaviors in place. And then whenever the time comes for you to do this new habit, like maybe sit down and go through your bank statements or talk about your budget with your loved one, maybe you have to say no to yourself for spending money where it doesn't serve you. Whichever one of the things, something happens, right, while you're now doing the work. And a feeling arises from what has happened. Your energy shifts from one of excitement, yes, my boss, I'm going to be a millionaire, whatever it is, right? Money coming, money floweth, all the things. A feeling now arises through thoughts that are saying, oh my God, I don't want to go through this process of looking at my bank statement. I know I missed this bill payment, or I'm going to miss this payment because, I'm going to be late on it. I just can't pay everybody. And so you start to feel this tug. It's almost like something on the inside saying, choo choo, hey, remember me? I'm the one that says that you have all these real issues. And so what you're trying to manifest, the thing that you're trying to attract, is not going to come because you have real issues, right? So you start to feel the reaction to that. It's like a sinking feeling. You usually feel it in your gut, like in between here and your gut, right? So you have that sinking feeling. And now the engine that you had on the train towards big bucks, multimillionaire, breaking through with my new big business and making all this money, that engine that's going chugga chugga in one direction, you have now ignited the engine on the opposite end of the train that is saying, no, 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 remember you have all these issues and challenges and problems that you've had in the past that have made this not work. And we're going to pull you in the opposite direction. And because you are not aware that this feeling is there, you are literally having the feeling, right? That is pulling you away from the desire and you don't recognize it. So what do? You keep fighting towards the goal. You don't let go of the thing that you're trying to do. No, you decide, say, I'm going to go through this bank statement anyway, and I'm just going to push myself. I'm going to push myself through whatever is there. I'm going to break through all the roadblocks. And while you may think you're successful because possibly you finished the task, what you're going to notice over time is that you're going to just start experiencing more and more blocks. And the reason why those blocks keep coming up is because you literally have activated an energetic space that you are not paying attention to. You are not resolving it. And so by the time you start to pay attention to and resolve it, maybe you are deeper in debt or you have procrastinated your way past a timeline. Or even worse, maybe it is that you've decided, this is too hard. I'm just going to wait until the right time or the right moment. And so the self-belief and all of those things start to come into play now where you're losing traction in that area. So that was actually step one. You have to be able to pause for a moment. And this is where the self-reflection comes in. This is where you need to actually now determine that I'm going to take the time to get to know when my energy is shifting. It requires stillness, like not just trying to keep doing and going, which is essentially how we're trained. And then when you're at the effect of everybody else that seems to have their highlight reel going, when you're at the effect of that, you already feel behind. And so you have now this fake timeline and clock that's going in your head that's saying you're behind, you're not going to hit your target, you're not going to hit your goal. So that just adds more to what? It adds more to the bad feeling that you're having anyway. So every single day, you need to take a moment and check in with yourself. Ask yourself, how am I feeling right now? Especially when you go into your workbook, if you've got the intention workbook, when you go into that book or you go into your journal, whatever you're using to help you with your goals during the course of the year. Whenever you go into that book and you start looking at the things, when you look at something, you read it, there is an immediate feeling. There's a thought and a feeling that's going to follow it when you read the thing. Don't just breeze past and act like you're not having feelings. Some of us are breezing past it because it don't feel good and we don't want to explore why it doesn't feel good. But you have to check in. How am I feeling right now? And then why? Why am I feeling this way? If you face it, then you can fix it. If you try to push past it and act like it's not there, then your gremlins are going to come in and they're going to take over. You're just going to keep having these different feelings over and over again. Okay? And eventually it's going to create an engine movement that is so powerful in the opposite direction. You're just not going to get to what you want. If you understand your emotional undercurrents, right, the things that are really underneath what you are trying to achieve, then you can actually guide your decisions about it. What I've been able to do with that, guys, which has been a big help for me in the financial space, I used to hate budgeting. Listen, I have 3 children, okay? And two of them are in private school, one is in university. And I like a nice lifestyle. I do not want to live a pop down lifestyle. You don't see me have teapot and teacup and all kind of. I like fancy things. Okay. So when you see my life situation that I want to create, I can't be just thinking to myself, oh yeah, I want to earn a six-figure income. And no, it's not that about that. I have to really focus on the desires that I have. Because sometimes it's not just about the cash flow that's going to get those things to come to me. Yeah. And so what I've been doing is I've been looking at, okay, what are my financial goals? And then I think when I read something and it's like, oh yeah, do the budget where you know you don't like to do, and the feelings start to come up, I'm like, okay, well, I know I don't love to do the big budget, but when I do the budget, I get to see how I can make more money. If I need to make more money, what does that make me feel like? And then I'm like, all right, so maybe today, instead of doing the entire budget, I'm going to focus on the bits that I have to do every single month or every single week. Let me just focus on that and work on setting up a system that's going to help me to move past that feeling block. And so I focus on the things that I know I have to do. I know I have to do the stuff with the kids' school. I know I have to do stuff that is going to ensure that I'm seeing where my cash flow is and where I can possibly earn some more income. And that stuff feels good. So I'm going to just do that part and anything that is an absolute priority. Another habit that I've actually put in place, guys, that is phenomenal. Every single morning before I get into my actual work schedule, I have one line item now, which is my money momentum. And how I build money momentum is I go on and I check every single bank account that I have. I check my business accounts and I check my personal accounts and I check my joint account that I will have with my partner for running the house. Now, I will say to you that it's not every day the numbers are different. But when I started the process, it felt very uncomfortable because there was a lot of red. There was a lot of bills and there was a lot of red. Now that I have a lot in the black, it feels far better. And when I see something in the red, I know, okay, that's because I'm moving this from here to there. And so eventually I'll be in the black again. I've started to now develop a better relationship with how I'm looking at my money, right? So you definitely want to not ignore the emotion. You want to face it and then use that as leverage. Somebody was saying that they wanted to thank me for the gift of the workbook. You're very welcome. I didn't take my end off your break and I now feel out of sorts. That's okay. You don't need to always take the full break. What you can do is you can take small breaks in between intentionally. So if you know you're supposed to do maybe a week long break, I didn't take my break either. I mean, I wasn't running up and down because I had a boot on my foot. I didn't take a vacation. All of last year, I didn't take a vacation, right? But what I did do was I blocked Fridays or Fridays and Mondays, or I blocked a Monday and I used that time to just sleep or to rest. Okay. Now we're moving on to the second part, which is a big issue for a lot of people. Comparison. How do I know it's a big issue for a lot of people? Because it's an issue for me. I only talk about stuff on here that I know about. I don't like hypothetical. I like real talk. So here we go. Stop the comparison game. All right? Stop the comparison game. And the reason we're going to talk about comparison this morning is because sometimes we don't think about this particular aspect of comparison. Remember, in step one, when we talked about knowing your feelings, because feelings is the secret to the secret, in that step, we talked about the two different emotions that could be pulling you. So your desire is this beautiful, bright train, and it's ready to go on this amazing journey. And then you have the desire of self-belief that's pulling you towards it, the wonderful experiences you expect to have, all of that. And then you have the doubts and the negative self-talk over here that is waiting for the trigger to pull you in the opposite direction. No, when you are looking at somebody's highlight reel, Okay? You're looking at their highlight reel and you're seeing their dream. Like you're seeing their dream. That's what you're seeing. And you're like, oh my gosh, they're there. I just can't seem to get there. Or, oh my gosh, I know my thing could be better than that, and I just can't seem to get it. How come them get this big break and just wake up and they're now experiencing the thing? And I'm over here and I know I'm better than them. I know I have more talent, or I know I have more experience or connection, whatever. You know the thoughts. You have them. Okay? I have them too. It's okay. It's normal. But when you are looking on at somebody who has already gotten to their, that's what you're looking at now. You're looking at their destination delicious. You have no idea what was going on with their engines, with their train. You don't know what areas of their life they are having that push and pull of negative self talk and beautiful beliefs. You don't know. So when you get stuck now in the pitfalls of seeing somebody else, right, going through that, you're literally getting caught up in what is really a trick of the mind. The mind is trying to keep you safe. Remember that journeys are going to come with pitfalls and challenges and new experiences. You're going to have all these different moments where you're going to feel like, I can't make it, but I'm going to keep going. You're going to feel like 1 minute in at the desert and you're thirsty and you need water. And the next minute you're up on the mountaintop and it's cold and you feel alone. And you're going to be going through all of that, right? And so, because you're going to be having those experiences, you have to prepare yourself to go through those things. And you don't know what the other person's preparation has been. You don't know what their process is like. You don't know what their belief system is. You have zero clue about what is happening in the engine. The only person whose engine and mode of transportation, the only person whose emotions and feelings you are connected with is your own, not even your lover. You could be literally sleeping beside this person for days, weeks, months, years, and you think you know them. You have no idea what their emotional undercurrent is. You just don't, because it ain't yours. And thank God. Like, aren't you tired of having to navigate everybody else's emotional undercurrent and worry about what everybody else's emotional well-being is and how you are going to fix or fit or shift and move that around? It's because it's not yours to worry about. So stop it. Stop comparing yourself to others and stop worrying about fixing everybody else's thing. The only thing you need to be thinking through are your emotional triggers, your emotional experiences that make you feel good, that give you that water. I'm here talking and I haven't had any tea all morning, guys. Like literally. Hold on a second. Okay. Jeez. Let me move it over here. It's probably better. Oh, I had to show you this, which is why I have it up. In Jamaica, we make white rum. Now, this is not white rum, clearly, right? But in Jamaica, beautiful, beautiful rum distillery, right? J. Never makes white rum. We recycle these rum bottles in various different ways. And people from country, I'm from town, people from country, in particular St. Thomas, as one example, make honey. Yes, they have beautiful bees and they make honey. And I'm a huge honey drinker. Remember in the past, I've brought on my Greek honey and my honey from Italy and all over the place. Okay, so this for me is authentic Jamaican honey. When you go on the roadside and you have the guys there that are selling these bottles that amount to $3,000, which I think is like what, $25 or something like that, 25 US dollars. Yeah, and so I was able to get a bottle recently, and I'm just so excited. So I was like, I have to show the people on tea time. Okay, so this is honey, not red rum in a white rum bottle. All right. Okay. No, back to the juice. Okay. Here goes. Yes, me too. St. Thomas is your home. Okay, there you go. So you know about the things, right? All right. So the first tip, guys, remember we're doing the three things to ensure you can have the best success, right? The three things to ensure you can have the best success on your journey this year. Thing one was to know your feelings, and we just did comparison. Stop the comparison game. Now, the final step is focusing on what truly matters. That's what our strategy is. I don't know how people don't drink tea and coffee in the morning time because it is like life force giving. This is like Yoda telling me that I need to get the manna from the temple or the nectar or something. It just, yeah, man. Okay, so our final strategy is focusing on what truly matters. And in this area, it's important that we re-emphasize focus. I talk about focus a lot because I know that I personally have gotten distracted from my dream many times. Some of you who join me on these lives, you know I've been doing this work since 2018. And I can honestly say to you guys that it is 5 years later that I am now seeing very clearly where my gaps were. My gaps were in my commitment to the process, commitment to what it would take. And that's because I figured out how to make money otherwise. And so I was like, well, as long as I can do this over here, then I can just keep side hustling this and it's no big deal. All right, we're ditching that for 2024. I'm coming forward with commitment. And the second thing that was a huge gap for me, which is why I was not focusing, was my self belief. And as I shared on Intention Day on January 2nd, I am now clear that I need to have the audacity to believe in myself. And y'all can see it because I'm showing up. This is my 8th tea time since last year, November, or whenever I started it, right? So I think what you have to recognize as coming from that example, you have to recognize what is taking away your focus. What is it that is robbing you of your ability to stay on the path? Think about it. And when you think about it and you identify that, you don't have to ask yourself one bag of question. You don't have to do that. You know why? Because the moment you ask yourself the question, the answer is there because the answer is always there. So, what is it that is preventing you from focusing? What distracts you? What has you get up and move from the task that you are doing that is supposed to help you get to your goal and has you go do something else? And sometimes it's not you, sometimes it's external situations, and that's okay. But then you have to ask yourself, why don't I correct the external situations that I know I get distracted by? Because then it's underneath that. Sometimes we just start blame all of the external things. I used to do that. For instance, I used to complain about doing content. I love to do this, I could talk all day long. You guys know. I love to do this. I used to complain about not having a studio. Clearly, I am not in a studio. I am in the sitting room in my townhouse in Kingston. When I started Tea Time, I literally was in between Airbnb, my girlfriend's house, the hotel. Like I was literally in 3 different places when I was doing Tea Time in Atlanta because I'm still figuring out my move, how I'm going to settle down and all of that. Right. And it did not, I could have said to myself, you know what? I'm not going to Tea Time this week because I'm at my girlfriend's and she doesn't have a setup that's going to allow me to do it. No. I remember I fell down the stairs and a Saturday came several days later and I could have said, you know what? I fell down the stairs and yeah, my foot hurting me and I don't really feel like talking. But I could talk. I was talking all day long. I was taking meetings with other people. I was, taking the painkillers and showing up anyway. So external circumstances are going to come. You have to figure out what is it that allows these external circumstances to get in the way of my focus. The moment I recognized that I was lacking in belief in myself in some areas, the moment I realized that, and then I said, all right, so you're going to challenge every single time there is a thought that says to you, don't do this right now, just keep doing that. You can get to it later. You can record the podcast tomorrow. Every single time that happens, challenge yourself. Ask yourself, well, why am I saying this? Why am I denying myself this step that I know is going to get me closer to my goal? And what I realized is that I really didn't believe that I could do it. At the end of the day, I did not believe that I could do this work in a way that was going to make me create a life that I want, which is equal to financial freedom coming through this work. Yeah? So you have to really recognize, what is it that is distracting me? What are my bright, shiny objects? What are the things that I literally am here, I'm doing something, I'm focusing on my goal, and then all of a sudden, maybe it's the partner, maybe it's the love partner, maybe it's your man or your woman, they come in and they start to talk, and you are concerned that if you don't spend time with this person, then they're going to leave you, or they're going to get upset and you don't want to get into an argument, or whatever the excuse is. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's your child or somebody else that you love that is interrupting your time and space. And all you got to do now is, when you start to think, okay, I'm allowing this distraction from this person that I love because I'm afraid of the potential conflict it will create. Then all right, so how do I avoid this conflict? You don't try to avoid it, you try to address it. Okay, how do I address this conflict? You sit your partner down and you say, babe, I have this dream. And this dream requires me to have an hour in the evening or in the morning or whatever to go to the gym. And if I wake up in the morning and that's the best time for me to get out of the house, I can't lay in the bed and be cuddling up every single morning. No, these mornings are my gym mornings, and going forward, I need to be able to do this. Right? And sometimes we don't even want to have those conversations. Sometimes when it comes to money, it's the partner that's pulling us down, and we're afraid to have the conversation about the person, with the person, so we can get the money game on. Right? So focus is really, really important. And you have to make sure that negative thoughts and distractions, that you face them and that you deal with them. Don't avoid them. Address them. Right? Get really clear on keeping your eyes on the prize. And when you keep your eyes on the prize and you start to put boundaries in place to protect yourself and that prize, oh my gosh, you will be shocked at how amazing things open up for you, how much stuff you start to attract in your life. Okay? So those are the three things, the three different areas where you can literally unlock success as you're going through the year. And I can't say to you that I guarantee that you're going to get it. The only guarantee I can give you is that these practices will absolutely get you closer to the habits you need in order to attract your dream into your life, in order to achieve the thing, in order to do the work, the action that it's going to take to make this year better than it was last year. So I'm going to go over them again. One, it's knowing your feelings. Okay, we have to make sure that you understand and know which engine is being lit up right now. Is it the engine of belief and possibility that's pulling you towards your desire? Or is it the engine of doubt and negative self-talk that's pulling you away from your desire? What is active in your space? Take the time, take a moment, check in with yourself, ask yourself that question. Why am I feeling this way? Or what am I feeling right now? And why am I feeling this way? The second step, stop the comparison game, because you don't know what anybody else's emotional undercurrent is. You only know yours. So do not look at those highlight reels and think that, oh, they have their destination delicious and it just happened overnight. You have no idea what's going on behind the scenes and with their emotional undercurrent. The only one you can control or know about is your own. So stick to that. And then step number 3 is focus on what truly matters. Recognize when you are actively, when you're in action mode now, doing the step that is going to get you closer to your dream or your desire. When you're in action mode, what distractions come up for you? What are the distractions? Whether they're distractions that you are creating or distractions that other people are creating. What are they? And then now, instead of avoiding the challenging conversations or the challenging things that you have to put in place to make sure that the distractions don't pull you in the opposite direction, you address them, don't avoid them. All right. So these 3 steps are going to ensure that you have the best opportunity towards achieving your intentions and your goals for 2024. I really do hope that this chat was helpful for you guys. And I hope that you enjoyed your tea. I mean, I literally wasn't drinking my tea till just about the end. But thank you so much for joining, guys. And you will see me here next week for another tea time with the Balanced Lady Boss. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful Saturday. Take care.